So, good morning. Today I will be talking about creativity. The rest of half of the slides that Kylie has not discussed already. So, starting with this quote about the role of implicit theories of creativity. When people engage in activities involving creativity, especially the evaluation of creativity, they're going to rarely base their judgments and actions on formal theories of creativity. So, for example, a person who is attempting to find a creative solution to a problem is probably not thinking, I wonder what I should do next according to the XYZ theory of creativity. So, although formal or explicit theories of creativity are necessary and helpful guides for research and enhancement efforts and may indeed help this person to solve the problem, explicit theories do little to explain how lay people conceptualize creativity as they proceed through their daily activities. So, basically, this quote is highlighting how creative theories are necessary for research, as it said, but maybe in everyday terms of solving a problem or having a creative idea, you're not going to rely on them as much. So then we go on to our second activity, which is adding something new. So instructions. Based on the following piece of art, what would you add to the painting? So now we're going to go to the picture of the Mona Lisa. And hopefully somebody is pausing me so y'all can add something to this painting. Next, we go on to our second question of what personality traits do you think is associated with creativity? Hopefully, once again, somebody's pausing me, so I'm going to give you kind of my answer. So, basically, the answer to this question is going to differ for each person, or it might be a little similar. It just depends. I might say somebody with the personality traits that are creative are going to be open-minded, they're going to be curious, they're going to, think outside the box and be kind of like revolutionary. However, that might differ for you. It just depends. So now we go on to personality and creativity. We have a study that highlights different answers as well. We have undergraduate students in psychology and artists who highlighted that they thought these people would be open-minded, intelligent, logical, experimenting, and with problem-solving skills, while parents and teachers thought that they would be clear-thinking, clever, intelligent, capable, imaginative, innovative, and questioning. As an overall, Western studies would state that they are free-spirited, nonconformist, individualistic, confident, assertive, daring, and artistic, which the Western study kind of highlights how, this overall American ideal or American, stereotype that kind of comes about when people think of Americans, as well as with the undergrad students in psychology and artists, that kind of makes sense of why they would think they're open-minded, intelligent, and logical, because they're thinking more on the scientific creativity side, as well as artists is kind of the similar route. So this kind of just highlights how there's different avenues that people think of when they think of a personality that is creative. Continuing with personality and creative, we have the big five ocean. So we have openness, which is higher levels of creative accomplishment and creative ability, which interacts with the creative ability to predict creative accomplishments. So basically, you're just open to new ideas, new ways of thinking. You're not limited and narrow-minded. You're just kind of open to whatever needs to be done. So then we have conscientiousness, which interacts with the creative ability to predict creative accomplishments. So low levels of creativity is going to have a positive relation with this, while high levels of creativity are going to have negative relationships with the concept. So basically, this highlights how if you're more conscious, you're going to be less creative. If you are less conscientious, you're going to be more creative, because you're not going to be, like I just said, you're going to be, instead of narrow and limited, you're going to be more open and just ready for any possibility. Then we go on to extroversion, which has a positive correlation with creativity ability, which makes sense. If you're more open to, being around other people and interacting and you get energy from that, it makes sense that you would be more creative, because we're going to talk about in a minute, multiculturalism. You're going to be just more, you can have various people that you interact with and more mindsets that you come in contact with that might be different than yours, allowing you to have more of a scope of ideas. Then we have agreeableness, which is negatively correlated with creative accomplishment. So this makes sense that if you're more agreeable, you're going to be less creative, because you're not going to want to kind of rock the boat. You're not going to think outside the box. You're kind of just going to do what everyone says and not really disagree. Then we have neuroticism, which is unrelated to creative ability and accomplishments, which kind of would be surprising for some, because there's always this assumption that, people who are more crazy and more issues or problems, they're more creative. They have this ability to kind of see things in a different way, and that's not necessarily true. I mean, it could happen, but it's not like a end-all, be-all situation. So then we go on to activity 3, which is writing as a music prompt. So Kylie is going to play this music for you. Hopefully pause me when you do this activity. And you're going to write about what images or scenes come to mind when you listen to the song. Then we have styles of thinking and creativity. You have 2 styles of thinking. You have divergent thinking and convergent thinking. First, with divergent, it is the case of the capacity for exploring multiple potential answers or solutions, and it's characterized by a neural activation pattern that consists of strong activation of the left IFG and the weak activation of the left DLF-PFC, and the right hemisphere structures. And it also has 3 aspects to it. So you have originality, which means that it's statistically fewer responses, which is kind of already highlighted in the above slides. You have fluency, which means there is a number of different responses, and then you have flexibility, which is measured by the number of different categories and responses. So with fluency, this would be kind of going back to activity 1 with the brick. If depending on how many number of responses you had for different ways you could use this brick, that would be fluency. And say, for example, you had 20 responses, but they all kind of were similar in that you would build something with this brick, you would have high fluency because you have a number of different responses. However, you would have low flexibility because they're all in the same category of responses. However, out of the 3 that measure divergent thinking, fluency is the most pivotal one to kind of assess your creativity and your divergent thinking. So then we go on to convergent thinking, which is the capacity to narrow on the single correct answer or solution. It is characterized by a similar pattern with weak activation of the left IFG and strong activation of the DLF-PFC and the right hemisphere structure. So this could be an example of convergent thinking would be answering an equation, answering a multiple choice question, something that has a singular correct answer, rather than divergent, which has multiple solutions. You're kind of thinking outside the box with divergent thinking, while convergent thinking, you're thinking more the correct answer or solution. So now we go on to multiculturalism experiences, which kind of is this context of social context with creativity. So the quote states that individuals that are exposed to 2 or more cultures, such as attained by living abroad, immigrating to another country, or working or going to school in a culturally diverse setting, present 5 ways that multicultural experiences can foster creativity, which we will kind of state in the next slide. So basically this quote is highlighting how if you are in a more diverse setting or environment, you're going to be more open-minded, more creative possibly, because you are not limited in your scope of ideas and people you're around and cultures. You're just kind of very, I guess culture would be the best word for that. So then we go on to environment and creativity. So you have first the learning of new ideas and concepts. You have this recognition of differing functions and implications. You have psychological readiness to recruit and seek out ideas from diverse sources, and this adaptation of thoughts and behavior to new things. Example would be your own environment, or the environment in general. So then we also have the last being the exploration of incongruent concepts. That is an environment and creativity. So for our last activity, we have word association. So depending on how long this presentation is, if you have a chance, grab a partner, use the word list in the slide below, and have one partner say one word while the other partner says the first word that comes to their mind. And remember, just don't overthink this or think too hard, just the first thing that pops in your mind. And here's that list of words. Lastly, does anybody have any questions? If you do, I cannot answer them, but hopefully Kylie can if you do have any questions. So thank you for listening to our creativity presentation. Hopefully it was enjoying and got you understanding creativity more as a concept. Sad I could not be there, but hopefully I know Kylie did a great job with this presentation. So thank you for listening.